Hey, ladies and gents, it's Zem again from Strike Gaming, and I'm doing the review on an I-17. I-17. I absolutely love this plane. This is probably my favorite Tier 4 plane in the game. Uh, this was, in 1934, an attempt to build a single-seat, cantilever-winged light fighter by the Russians. There was 3 prototypes produced. It didn't work out real well. I think it was a little bit underpowered, and of course by 1936 it had been canceled. There was an attempt by the Russians to turn this into a parasite fighter, but they were unbuilt, and that was pretty much the history of this plane. I mean, other than the 3 prototypes that were built, they didn't really pursue this design for the plane. I mean, it is a nice looking plane too, and that's kind of one of the reasons I like it. Yeah, it's kind of a pretty plane. So yeah, 3 prototypes, never put in production, and, and that's its story. It runs, of course, at Tier 4, and it's a very nice plane if you like the turn and burn type of play style. Right around 1052 for its maneuverability. Altitude really sucks. You don't want to play this thing too high, and you'll notice in the games that you play it, it's not. Just stay below 3,000 feet, and that's all you need to worry about. The guns on it are actually really nice. You do get 4 7.62s and a 120mm firing through the hub, so it actually pretty well armored for Tier 4, and this is probably one of my This is one of my favorite planes, even back in pre 2.0. It's just a real nice plane, and it turns real well. I don't have anything on here for pilot skills because I've already moved up the pilot to a different airplanes. But if you're looking for, obviously, aerobatics expert, aerodynamics expert, anything that would increase the maneuverability of this thing, which is already really maneuverable, just making it more so. With the guns, the way they are mounted, it's not a bad idea to go with the marksman. Things like that. I actually run the equipment on here. I run the lightweight airframe 2, and of course the control surface adjustment. And I've been trying this out, the improved radiator, just to help with some of its altitude problems. Trying to keep the boost rebuilding as fast as I can. So I'm going to try it, see how it works out. I might end up moving back to more of the optics, the reflective gun sights and that stuff, to see if I can help that out. But on whole, this is probably, in my opinion, probably at Tier 4, one of the best fighters, light fighters. Of course, the A6M1 is turns a little bit better than this thing, but there isn't too many things else in the game that this thing can't outturn, at least at Tier 4. So, with that said, I'm going to be bringing up the replay. I'm going to be doing a couple more of these. Some people asked for things that weren't premium, so I'll be just picking out some random planes that I like, other than the iconic planes. This of course is being an aircraft that was really built for prototypes, and so it's not it's not an iconic plane, but it's a plane that I enjoy to play, and I have a good time in it. So I will be doing like that, literally picking out couple planes at a time and just working my way up through different lines. So on to the gameplay, and I'll show you what this thing can do. Alright, we're back with the replay of this plane. Once again, light fighter, super maneuverable, shit altitude performance. It does have a nice set of guns, 7.62s and a 20mm on it, so you can shoot through a lot of these targets. It's not the fastest thing in the world, as you can see here. I'm constantly boosting to get my speed up over 200 miles an hour. It's just not that quick, but it makes up for the fact that it can literally turn on a dime, and it does it pretty well. So we're moving over here to the airbase to take this right away. And this game actually ended up being, we were up quite a bit, but you'll watch at the end of the game what I'm talking about, how quickly this game can turn into losing it, even though you're up 200 plus objective points. So heading toward the air base here, we got boomerangs here. And this thing will actually stick with a boomerang pretty easily, even if it's not a bot, a human boomerang. No real issues with them, especially as you get more upgraded and you get the, of course, the perks on the pilots. You'll notice here I'm not trying to climb too far above 3,000 feet. I don't like, even in most games, I don't even like to get above 4,000 feet. That's literally probably your max altitude that you really want to get into before you start getting stall problems, flip over, and of course, always with the bots, they just turn into animals every time they're chasing me. So we flip the cap, take a fair amount of damage here. I'm sitting about 95 health, but we do have an airfield here with some with the repair icon, so I'm not terribly worried about it if I have to come back. So heading toward the center garrison, and to be my opinion, with these coming with these maps, especially if you have a center objective, that's really kind of nice to hold as long as you possibly can. If you can hold it for a fair amount of time, you will draw in a lot of the bots. They'll keep coming back to the center quite often, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. So still staying down roughly, trying to play this around the 2,000 or so altitude right here, 3,000 altitude, whatever it is. Coming up here on the boomerang and just pummel them. And like I said, that's what's really nice about these guns. They do pretty well. I'm actually going to switch out to a drop off the wing repairs and actually put a pneumatic restarter on this, because this thing gets its engine knocked out so many times. I don't know why. It's just not very tough, I guess. It really suffers from that engine damage, at least module-wise. So yeah, if you are interested in making sure you do put a pneumatic restarter on it, because you will get your engine shot out 9 times out of 10 at least once in the game. So last little guy running around here. I'm going to try to get in some quick damage here before I head to the repair facility over at the airfield, and hopefully gain some of my health back. I got down there just a little bit low, about 28 health right now. So I'm going to head back over to the repair facility. We have this pretty well in hand. We've got 3 garrisons, or 3 objectives captured, and it seems to me mostly fighters on the enemy team seem to be focusing on the 1 garrison off to the side over here. So I'm going to head down to the airfields, repair, and then come back to the other garrison that's currently on my left. That's the closest to their spawn, so I'm going to see some action. And it's actually, I spent most of the time flying around a lot in this match. I don't probably didn't get quite the combat points I could have had if I hadn't flown all the way back over here to repair. But I also didn't die either, so there is something about that. If you can survive as long as you can without having to respawn, definitely improves your chance of winning. Like I said earlier, super slow. I shouldn't say super slow. It just seems like a very sluggish plane, at least speed-wise, when you're dealing with some of this stuff. 200 miles an hour, and most of the time I'm on the boost all the time just to try to keep that speed up a little bit. You can obviously see trying to gain any altitude with it, it drops its speed very quickly. But if you, like I said, you stay below that 4,000 feet and you get down in here, where it's best at, obviously under 2,000 feet is where it really performs the best at. You can do lots of damage to the enemy planes. Knock that guy out, because reasons. So we got the P-36 here, and I'm going to try to go a little bit vertical here, and you, of course, like I said, see how fast that speed drops off just doing a gentle climb like that. Well, I should say it was gentle. Okay, when you try to skyrocket up, it burns airspeed pretty quickly. So back over here to the Blinum, he's getting wrecked by our air defense fighters, and that's about the time I see the 2 fighters here on my left coming in here. We got Seymour again in the P-43, and he's heading over here to help out his heavy fighters, so I'm going to do a little intercept here and try to keep him off our caps. And like this point, like I said, we're already up over 100 on the combat point, so I'm not terribly worried about it. I saw the KI-60, KI-43 coming in here, and I'm just going to pummel his shit mercilessly. He takes I believe the 20 actually hit him last, so I was able to finish him off before he rammed me. But I got a Bristol coming in on here, and you're going to see here what I'm talking about the maneuverability wise, how quickly I flip over and just right back down on him. It's got such great maneuverability. I definitely can't complain about it. Flip back down on him, stay with him, and am I going to get him? Yes, I'll get him. Finish him off. Try to stop at least some of the attempts to cap here. The BF-109B, he's got some pretty good cannons, so we'll see what we're going to do here. I'm not going to try to go too head-to-head with him. Flip back over, yeah, and right back on his tail. Like I said, this thing, maneuverability is so great. But once again, speed-wise, if that BF-109 would have stayed in a straight line, I never would have caught him. This thing just does not have that speed. So, still kind of sluggish, 180 miles an hour, 180 miles an hour. We'll get to it eventually. So I'll finish that off. I have the human bow fighter with me, and the squall line has showed up. I'm sitting pretty good with, at least with my health-wise, so I'm not terribly worried about here. And I also have the bow fighter coming with me, so we're gonna go tackle this other air base over here, which will be kind of nice, you know, because once again, it's another objective, but it also has the wrench. So if we can knock this out, and I do take a bunch of damage, I can repair fairly quickly here instead of having to fly halfway across the map. And the squall line is up right now, so it's not a good time to die. Bullfighter's up above me here, and I'm just going to deal, of course, here with these low altitude fighters. He can deal with everything up on top, and I'm just going to work down here on the boomerangs and try to make sure they don't get up on his tail. Of course, he has heavy fighters to deal with, so it's going to be a little more entertaining. Like I said, the 7.62s on this thing is just eat things relatively quick, and that 20 is real nice for you know, a couple big hits when you can get it work. It does overheat fairly quickly, but you still have, like I said, the 4 7.62s that really work through targets HP very well. Alright, so now I'm getting chased all over here by boomerangs. There you are, buddy. Flip up and over. And like I said earlier about how fast this thing bleeds airspeed, you can see right there. It's very quick to blow through airspeed. And that's kind of what I'm trying out with the with my the radiator, is trying to keep the boost up and active as much as possible, so I can try to keep my airspeed up as much as possible. So we win the airfields, and then this is about that time I noticed that we don't have any fucking blue players up, because there's only 2 of us left, right? Squall line's up. We are relatively close to winning the game, but yeah, I let him know we can't die. They have a lot more planes than we do. So I'm sticking my tail between my legs, and I'm turning and burning, and well, I don't really burn real well, but I'm running, because there's a very good chance here we can lose this even with our massive lead here. If I had gone with him, the bullfighter, there was a good chance that we probably wouldn't have won this game. So he gets finished off, and I'm the only one left, but all I gotta do is stay alive. So I hope you enjoyed the review, and I will be bringing up a little bit more here as we do this series along the lines of, you know, planes I like to play, favorite planes I like to play. If you haven't gone up the Russian line, this plane is definitely a keeper. It is so much fun to play. You know, it's a great turn and burn. It doesn't quite as good as the Japanese, but it's pretty damn close. If you can get in behind a Japanese plane, there's not a whole lot, even if he tries to shake you. you know, he's going to have just a little bit better turn rate, but a lot of times you can stay with him with your flaps, or not with your flaps, but with your airspeed, and keep him behind him and pummel the shit out of him. So, you guys have a good night, and we'll be seeing you later.